Last week, I crossed a major milestone in my resume writing journey. I wrote my 3,000th resume. It's been quite a ride and the lessons have been plenty, but here are 5 of the biggest ones I've learned during this journey. Lesson number 1, people are burdened with a lot of noise. Information doubles every 12 hours. People are consuming more and more information every day, and our brains are biologically dispositioned to filter out noise without us even being aware of it many times. Getting through the door to an interview isn't about creating more noise. It's not about writing more. It's about writing less. We are literally in a race to communicate clearly, and if you're writing a resume, less is often more. Many people, when they get their resumes back from me after I've written them, they say things like, wow, this is really skinny, or it's really light. It's light and skinny on purpose because that's what works. Lesson 2, the average person can only remember 3 things. We only remember things that we memorize, and it's really hard for us to memorize new things. The science is very clear on this, that everyone can memorize 3 things, but after 5, they'll forget everything you just said or wrote. People often fear repeating themselves, but repetition is how people metabolize new information. Don't be afraid to repeat yourself in your resume. Find a core narrative focused around 3 or 4 things and drive it home. Those are the resumes that always perform the best. If you try to communicate 20 different messages, you'll end up confusing your reader, and if you confuse, you lose. Lesson number 3, don't be everything to everyone. I struggled with this early in my career, and many of my clients also struggle with the fact that they're good at so many things. They could do several roles really well. The problem is no one is looking for someone who's good at everything. They need you to be good at a few very specific things. I rarely tailor my resumes. I know half the room just gasped. Most of the time, it's a waste of time if you wrote the resume for a defined audience to begin with. Find out what specific things your audience needs, you excel at, and focus on that. Lesson 4, we give people way too much credit. Many times we assume people know a lot more than they really do. Even in our current jobs, we often give our boss too much credit. We think they know things that they don't. No one knows our job better than ourselves, and so we have to dumb it down for others to understand. We have to fill in some gaps sometimes. We have to write for everyone, from the HR clerk to the CEO who could be rubber stamping our offer letter. And they all have to understand why we matter and what we do from that resume. The best way I've found to do this is to give your resume to a complete stranger, ask them to look at it for 20 seconds, and ask them 2 questions. Take it away after 20 seconds. What do I do? Why would someone want to talk to me? If they can't answer those 2 questions, that resume is not ready to use. Lesson number 5, having a resume framework is the most critical piece to success. The most important lesson I've learned is about creating a resume framework to operate within. Without a scientific process to operate within, you're really relying on luck of the draw. A lot of writers consider writing to be an art. Art is very subjective. That's not what you want here. Without my defined, thought out framework, I'd be like every other resume writer out there, following conventional norms without understanding why any of it really works. And the truth is, half of the stuff out there doesn't work. Everything I do is intentional, and the results are highly predictable. From choosing a target audience, developing a core narrative, structuring the resume content to draw the reader in piece by piece, and landing interviews, it's all part of a resume framework. You have to have a framework to operate within. If you need a framework, in case you missed my announcement last month, I documented and shared everything I do when writing a resume and put that into my course called Writing a Resume. In that course, you'll learn how to identify what your audience cares about, how to build a core narrative so people remember you and call you first, how to structure your resume in a way that screams great communicator right here without saying excellent communication skills, how to mitigate risks in your resume that involve remote work, age, education, and other things, how to test your resume before you use it so you know it's right. The course launched last month. It's available for $197, and you'll get access to monthly live sessions with me. Next month, we are doing a restructure, and the price will likely go up. So if you need a framework to work within, if you're on a budget and can't hire a resume writer or don't want to, and you want to just learn this skill so you can use it forever and no one can take this away from you, join the 279 other motivated resume students who have already enrolled and start landing more jobs. I'll see you on the inside.